Copyright 2023, August 4th, E.MEL, all rights reserved. Stand by. We're just prepping our setup, our set. So stand by. Figuring out this. Stand by. We're just prepping our setup, our set.
This was all masterfully planned and executed. During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned
Hey Stan, this is Stan. We're just setting up right now. Copyrighted 2023 E.MEL right serve. We're just setting up our show for Friday Reds, 8 Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll be in my
Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue.
so stand by. We've got Facebook Live on this. We're gonna try a TikTok Live on this particular setup. Ooh. How is everyone? Yeah, we're just setting up. We're prepping. We're prepping the setup here. How do you do a TikTok Live?
This was all masterfully planned and executed.
Mm-hmm.
During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue martial law. At this time, the Republic.
50s are off the board. And Bunny stacked up Royals and Brew Crew. Let's go. Fresh up the Francisco Alvarez. Then I saw some other teams come through. Let me refresh this real quick. The pin break. This is what we're breaking. Don't worry about the pictures. Pat God, what up, Pat God? Did you buy a team? I'll let you know in a second. What's the team?
Stand by because I'm working on setting it up.
Chrome hobby boxes.
Stan on Friday Reds Facebook Live. Hello there, Facebook people. We're just prepping.
States. What better way to replace it without anyone noticing that they just got turned into a business and commercialized? Now, this corporation was later purchased by the big powers behind the Fed. In 1912, the Fed was created in 1913. Why did this happen? Well, the U.S. was bankrupt when we sold the United States to.
How do you do Facebook Live? I mean, I'm trying to do TikTok Live. Anybody know how to do TikTok? I'll be back. Welcome to Friday Reds. We're just prepping our set. Sometimes we get feedback, so we're testing it before we go on 8 Pacific Standard Time. Oh, something dropped. Let's see what else. Okay, we got all that. How to set up TikTok Live. Yeah. All right. So we got that live. We got this going. Stand by. Oh, let me. Oh well. Hello, hello. Just frozen right now. So we go back here. I hope that takes care of it. Let's see what's going on. Oh wow, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. All right, what time we got? Oh, 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. Yeah, I hope that's good. Double check. Okay, let me get a costume. Hello, this is Emiliano, USA Emiliano Zapata. Perfect timing. It's alas 8 Pacific Standard Time for my Friday Reds show. We hope you will enjoy my show today. Copyrighted 2023 August 4th, E.CLI, all rights reserved. It's a Friday Red show. Sometimes we script it, and sometimes we improvise, and sometimes we improvise, and sometimes we have a little script. But it's a Friday Reds, and I'm in character as the United States of America, Emiliano Zapata, today here in Modesto, California, Stanislaus County, USA. And we begin with the first in, and it'll be the last out, the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. The Lord's Prayer, you can find it in the book of Matthew, chapter 6. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is thy name. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. As we forgive those trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us from every evil. Yo, say Jesus, Lord. Yes, so that was the first in, and it will be the last out. Because that's how we enter or log in the Garden of Eden, the virtual Garden of Eden. It's a simulated concept of coming in the Garden of Eden. It's simulating afterlife when you have experienced death, a sudden death, or known death. That in the afterlife, it's a virtual login and another login words to enter the Garden of Eden virtually. So we're just simulating a spirit world login, and then eventually a spirit world log out. That means we were allowed to come back down on earth, or allowed to take a break from the Garden of Eden, the virtual Garden of Eden. It is claimed to be under the island of Maharlika, island of Ophir, Shiva, and Tarshish, and it was called Maharlika back then, and it's now called the Philippines. And the combination of Philippines, Guam, and Hawaii, and the neighboring islands and locations, supposed to be the Lemuria Kingdom, the Mu, Lem, or Mu, as in mulatto. So that's what we did. We logged in with the first in, called the Lord's Prayer, where Jesus is the Lord, and Apostle Matthew wrote a book that described the Lord's Prayer. And there you have it. It's on Matthew chapter 6, according to the scriptures. All right, so the other thing we do is, because we're American grown, USA Chicano, so I'm the version of USA Emiliano Zapata. I've returned in 2023, my spirit. And so we have to obey the law of the land, because we're trying to bring heaven on earth, right? The kingdom come, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the Lord's Prayer's mandatory mission for us that can log in of the secret Garden of Eden, and then we can log out of the secret Garden of Eden. And so that's Friday Reds. The purpose of the show is just to educate while we're in this virtual Garden of Eden. You know, you cannot lie, you cannot commit any sin while you're in this virtual vlog, online on the cloud or on a YouTube channel, or as long as we explain today's mission. We usually talk about the past, the recent past, or the past, present, near present, like yesterday, and then future, near future like tomorrow, or further out to the future like colonizing Mars. All right, so in order to get there, we have to be in this. We're in the USA government and the United States constitutionus.com. There are 27 amendments, and our first amendment, we exercise that. We have that basic right as a human being, and so we have to describe the mission statement of the U.S. Constitution. Constitution, you can define all these things, 27 amendments, and the whole preamble, mission statement of the U.S. Constitution at constitutionus.com. All in one word, constitutionus.com. So every Friday we do these talk, and Professor Benjamin Washington, well, the research of that character led me to the character of today's USA Emiliano Zapata here in Modesto, California, San Carlos County, not in Mexico City near Morelos, Mexico. No, that was in the 1900s during the revolution of Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata and the civil war against Mexicans. But here in the United States, we have political conflicts that's going on. And so I am speaking for the local lay U.S. citizens that, I'm a lay Catholic, and I give the Christian values of being a good brother, like the example of Yahushua Jesus. And he is the only one that in all the religions from all the way to the past, all the way to the Sumerians, all the way to Hindus, to Buddha, to whatever. Yahushua Jesus is the only one that can heal and has resurrected and claimed to have gone back to the Father and will come again. And then, of course, there's the derivatives like Joseph Smith, the Mormons, Latter-day Saints, and other Muslims, Muhammad, other derivatives of, believers of a creator, a holy creator. But then, of course, you also have those opposite, the disobedient ones, the occults. They exist. So the main thing about the U.S. government, the U.S. Constitution, is that it allows for all groups to maintain their faith, whatever it might be. And as a lay Catholic, I don't favor just my faith, but I understand and have done research on like purgatory, afterlife, the archangels, the Mother Mary, the saints that have gone, good people that have joined the beliefs of a good God, a loving God, and his Son, a good Son, who sacrificed himself to help us out, whatever sins we commit, whatever disobedience we've done, that he is the way to heal us, Yahushua Jesus. But there's no other. Buddha doesn't do that. Buddha, you have to just have a spiritual practice to maintain your good spirit, your auras, your chakras. So you have maintained a positive, enlightened soul. That's pretty much the scope of Buddhism. Now, Hinduism is different because it has more interactions with the Holy Creator, his archangels, or other angels or polygods. They call them polygods, but there is the main creator, holy creator, that the Hindus believe, and he comes down himself, not just Jesus, not just Yahusha, but Yahuwah, God, also comes. So Hindu has those beliefs, and other spiritual creatures in the form of other creatures like an old lady, a butterfly, or any other creatures would be visiting us. That's Hindu. And the Hebrew are descendants of Eber, and the descendants of the three brothers that Noah was their father. And after the flood, there's the pride rainbow. After the flood, the pride rainbow is a promise that God, Yahusha, promised that with that rainbow, we will not be destroyed the way the deluge, the flood. It affected everyone. But the descendants of those three sons, there are the demons that survived the flood because they're in the demon spirit, a separate invisible realm. That these demons encourages the descendants of Noah, entice them to be in a cult. Non descendants of Noah, Shem, Japheth, Ham, the good seeds. So there's the bad seeds. So the DNA of Cain, the brother of Abel, exists. It's still a spiritual DNA, and the only way is through Jesus, Yahusha. But when we have this afterlife, the entrance gate of the Garden of Eden, when we have our afterlife, it scans for any spiritual DNA that contains the Cain spiritual DNA. And so Abel is the one. His brother is there. Because basically when Cain killed his own brother, Abel didn't have the chance to live the full life on earth. So his role in the afterlife bins or purgatory is that, like St. Peter, is to verify, all your good and bad and ugly, disobedient, and your occult type practices. Because the only way to go through heaven is through the Garden of Eden and through the practice of a good character like Yahushua Jesus. And then, of course, in history, we have other Bible reading individuals like Dr. Martin Luther King. He's a product of the Black Church in the United States of America. So the Black Church, right after the Civil War, when blacks were freed, they formulated the Black Church. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other good blacks benefited from that. So you can tell a good black and a bad black. The Bible reading, conforming blacks are, basically the character of Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Non-violent, non-derogatory verbal abuse, filthy-mouthed tongue, evil tongue. And that those after 20 years of hip hop in the 1990s, hip hop got corrupted by white supremacists that fed young black artists to deliver this evil tongue rap, the evil tongue. So the white supremacists that are rich funded and helped these disobedient blacks that were not conformant to the Black Church as what Dr. Martin Luther King stated, that the content of your character, but not the color of your skin. So it is evident that the characters of the 50 years of hip hop, you can tell the difference of lyrics and delivery of those spoken words, that there are anger, there is hate, there's racist, there's, and then of course those that purchase it are also as worse, purchasing those evil tongue, as warned by the book of James chapter 3, that if you consume, you and you deliver or propagate, re-saying the verses of occult evil tongue, that demons will harbor you. So if you listen to a lot of filthy rap, dirty songs, and bad spirit, ugly, hate, and the demons will harbor you. You're gonna be polluted with these multiple demons, and so the only way to cleanse that is through Yahushua Jesus, right? And cleanse out your evil tongue or your polluted spirit, and allow a cleansing by killing your internal soul, your corrupted soul and spirit. Commit a suicide with your spirit. Commit the old spirit and just cut it out and give it all to Yahushua Jesus. And then start listening to good music like klove.com, inspirational music, lyrics that enter in your soul and make you a good person. So the law of the land, it makes every effort to bring heaven on earth. But apparently these present times, we have been infiltrated by atheists and non-believers, and they become dominant, but it's not conforming to the law of the land. Thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And the law of the land is we the people. Okay, I'm gonna say the verses. I could chant it, and it goes like this. This is the law of the land. We, the what you call the mission statement of the Constitution, which is the law of the land, and how the Constitution needs to be amended. All right, so here we go. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. USA Constitution, US.com. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. All right, so that is the law of the land. That is our mission statement for the U.S. Constitution and our loyalty to the flag of the United States of America. And we don't need to say the pledge, but you should learn all the citizens' duty, United States citizens, right? There's a information about a good U.S. citizens, what you need to do. You can check out my YouTube channel. There's a playlist of Professor Benjamin Washington. Look for that. There's a playlist on Tukea_L_Stan. There's a playlist of Professor Benjamin Washington. A new playlist, 2023 version. All right. So, as a USA Emiliano Zapata, I just wanted to remove this. The gyro, it's kind of heavy and we're not outside. Usually that's good for outdoors, riding a horse, right? Because it's sunny, hot. This Instagram, I have two Instagram, Chief Kukunach and E.MEL STANLEY as Stanley Jack. If you go to that Instagram live, there is a ghost of me. Apparently there's a effect where there's two of me, my ghost and me, my spirit and me. I'm gonna upload that one on YouTube and you get to see it. But wow, the introduction, the first in, we just like almost did 30 minutes worth of that. All right, so we talk about the past, the present, and future. So present, like yesterday or early this week, I had the chance to go Tuesday watch the movie called Let's Talk, or no, Talk to Me. It's an Australian film, I guess distributed here in our USA theaters. And Talk to Me is the kind of stories to tell, the paranormal, purgatory, Christian afterlife stories, that there is the afterlife. And in that afterlife, there's the hell and there's the heaven. So depending on what you do, if you don't enter the Garden of Eden, if you don't know how to enter the virtual Garden of Eden, and you don't practice the Lord's Prayer or how to communicate and have a relationship with the Holy Creator, the great Holy Spirit, the Holy Great Spirit, then you'll wind up in hell. So Talk to Me. It was pretty interesting paranormal stuff. I encourage you to watch it, because fooling around and those Ouija boards, or fooling around with how to contact the afterlife, the invisible realm, where the demons, the descendants of Nephilims, and the evil spirits, bad spirits, I don't highly suggest that. But if you are in that situation, use the Holy Rosy, holy water, uh, ask for Yahusha, Jesus, ask help from his mom, Mother Mary, ask help from all the saints, because they too are in the other side. They're also in the afterlife. So you want to call good angels. Don't get stuck in the fallen angels and try to solve your own problem or regarding the demons that are preying on you or your relatives or your circle of friends, that the occult, people that are in the cult stuff, that's messing with the descendants of the Nephilims. If you don't know what it is, you need to read the scriptures, the Holy Bible, because that's what it is. The human history, we've already done a lot. There are so many stuff documented already in those biblical books, and there are ways to interact with each other to not become disobedient, as began by Eve, and then his children, their children, Adam and Eve, their children, Cain and Abel, and then the descendants of Seth, and then the descendants of Noah. So, talk to me. Afterlife stuff it's pretty interesting. And then in that corner, there is also, by Walmart here in Modesto, there is a corner, the Filipino corner truck, that they sell Filipino food, and high percentage of the trucks are Mexican foods, tacos, and they call them roach coach, but amazingly, there's one Filipino corner truck right there on McHenry, or the Regal Theaters, and by Walmart. It's on the parking lot where they sell car. It's a sales car lot, but there's two trucks: Mexican truck, taco truck, and then also the Filipino trucks. It's a Filipino Mexican. It's a Chicano corner. That's what they should call it. It's the Chicano corner. But the business owner called it Filipino corner truck, and then of course the taco truck. So that corner by Walmart near T-Mobile store, you get some nice Filipino food, and then of course that being my normal routine Tuesdays, and then Rancho Fresco. They had there's like a school of rock where all these young kids have forming bands. So VMI Rocks, they had their events at Rancho Fresco, and after that they had karaoke. But I had to take care of my elderly mom. I had to go home, make her dinner, and that's what I did. And then Wednesday, oh yeah, I went to buy my Mega Million. Hopefully it's announced and I won. Hopefully. But if you didn't buy, took a little $2 risk of one ticket, you're not a player. You're not a opportunity. Even though it's 1,000,000 to 1, you never know. It's all about luck, like anything else. So yeah, Wednesday, it's the early of the month, took care of my bills, but man, I have been full time taking care of my mom, so I haven't been. I haven't been employed. I'm self-employed. I produce stuff. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I released the song "Lucky Woman." It was copyrighted by my brother alongside with other songs like "Filipino Girl," and my other brother copyrighted "Did I Do You Wrong." And so there are 5 of us brothers. Dome, myself, Zald, Gabe, and Thomas. So there's 5 of us brothers. Zald helped fund the Zalden Lin helped fund Gabe's song Filipino Girl when it was produced, and then I helped publish it. Um, guided my younger brothers to, you know, and do distribution process. But both of them pursued their relationship with their partners, and today my brother, younger brother Gabe, is father of three. They're pretty much adults now, the kids. And then my younger brother Tom has a son named Keith. But we just, we haven't been together as a Sally Five, but we did record a lot of old stuff that were not really released online. And I still have the audio masters in my storage. And depending on how this lucky woman, I am maintaining the country music genre, outlaw country, just like, Emiliano Zapata, Bandido. He was a peasant. He was just a normal. The story, we're going to the past, Mexican past. The Mexican Empire was huge from 1492 to 1890s. The Mexican Empire was huge. If you look at the old map of the Mexican Empire. But then, of course, after the Spanish-American War, all the territories of the Mexican Empire, the New Spain, were taken by the United States. They created this war. Even, President Polk wanted to manifest destiny from the East Coast USA all the way to the California and further out to Guam and Philippines. So USA territory, they acquired all that in the 1900s. And so whatever was left in Mexico, that was it. Because after the Spanish-American War, the Mexican government, headed by Porfirio Diaz, they were very corrupt, and they were favoring the mestizos and the European immigrants. And California was like in the 1800s, was new territories that Europeans like Dutch and other European countries would come to Mexico and build their hacienda. And one of those was Sutter's Mill. That used to be in Mexico. And Sutter, him and another guy, they put together a hacienda, and they were like basically panhandling, or unnecessarily, but they, the Sutter, they accidentally found gold, or maybe that was their intention, was to find gold in California, because there's so many stories. But they were Mexican citizens, and so in the late 1820s, of course, in the 1800s, Mexico, after a lot of the African blacks, or indigenous blacks, escaped from slavery down to Mexico, and some of these blacks are from Papua New Guinea, Austronesian blacks. They, they got their freedom. So at the end of the Mexican Empire, blacks became free. So during the 1800s, Alta California, Philippine, Mexico, the alcalde of Los Angeles was Pio Pico, and he was part black. He was either a Creole or a mulatto. That's what part black people of different integration of other cultures. And a mulatto is like a Chino mix, indigenous mix, gringo mix, negro. So mulattoes are from the Moon Kingdom, Lemuria, Maharlika. And so Alcalde Pio Pico. If you look up the history of Los Angeles before USA took over LA, Los Angeles, you will find out that the last governor or last mayor of Los Angeles was Chicano, or not Chicano, but Hispanic. Not yet Chicano, because the Chicano happened in the 60s. Okay, U.S. U.S. Mexicans and U.S. Filipinos. Okay, that's the word Chicano began in the 60s. But in the 1800s, these European immigrants that are of Swedish or Swedes or Germans or like Sutter, they settled in California, Alta California, and when they said they found gold, oh boy, the whole Europe and East Coast came a flocking to San Francisco. And yeah, the Mexicans couldn't stop that because they were weak after the Spanish-American War. Well, the result is, yeah, Spanish-American War. The Americans wanted to take California. So yeah, I think President Polk, like in Polk Street, for those who don't know LGBTQT, Polk Street was a pioneering location where all the LGBTQT in San Francisco would hang out. That would be the major hub for LGBTQT in the 70s, Polk Street. But the story of President Polk is that, yeah, he encouraged, because there was some kind of treaty that after the Texas was taken by the, remember, Alamo, that there would be no more further land grab of the Southwest. But President Polk created something, and they eventually took Arizona, New Mexico, parts of Utah, and all the way to California. So President Polk, so I just keep linking it up to the LGBTQT in the 70s, like Harvey Milk. And Polk Street was like the only safe corner for LGBTQT. You would hide, behind the closet, that's what they say. But when you're in Polk Street, San Francisco, you let it all out if you're LGBTQ, just like the areas of Birdcage or whatever the movie was. But there were a lot of LGBTQ movies already in the 70s. But it eventually, LGBTQ, the pride, the rainbow, again, scripture, the Bible. After the flood, Yahuwah God promised Noah and his descendants that the earth will never be flooded the way it was because of the rainbow. And LGBTQT, like Hawaii is LGBTQT state. There's no ban on LGBTQT, never in Hawaii, because indigenous people in Hawaii, there's the two spirits. You live the secular world and then the spirit world. And in the secular world, USA law of the land, we have to conform to the 27 amendments and the mission statement of the U.S. Constitution, we the people of the United States. But unfortunately, there are a lot of Americans, rednecks or whatever, or people that just work, or they're stuck in their little community. Like say, people that stay in their Spanish community, they just remain Spanish in their community. Same thing with the Chinatown. They just stay in their little Chinatown, Japantown, Koreatown, little Irish town. Well, Irish no problem because they can speak accented English, the Irish American, and in the Australia, they are accented. What do you call it? But the multi-language, like Japanese town, Korea town, they have so they have their own little world. But even here, redneck town, little cowboy towns, small towns like Jason Aldean's town, they don't know how to say the we the people, the preamble, the mission statement of the law of the land. And I discovered that here in San Luis County, Modesto, when I went out further out to the neck of the woods in Oakdale, California. I was going to these open mics at the cow track, and I sing out some lyrics, and I befriend people by giving them roses, as in Mother Mary Juan Diego roses. The story of Juan Diego. It's a indigenous story. It occurred in Tepeyac Hill, Mexico City, where a peasant named Juan Diego, he was way before Emiliano Zapata and Chief Stanislaus, Mission San Jose. His name was Juan Diego. He was a Nahuatl. That was the indigenous language of Mexico. Quiche, Nahuatl, Aztecs, Mayans. Mayans are Malaysians. Yeah, there is. But anyways, the incident that happened in Tepeyac Hill, Mexico, was Juan Diego. And Juan Diego, Mother Mary, they say it was a seasonal time for roses. It wasn't seasonal time for roses, but in that area where the mountain peak area is, many roses were blooming. And there, indigenous Tunat-Sin, or Mother Mary, appeared as Tunat-Sin, an indigenous woman, to Juan Diego. And he said to Juan Diego, Juan, in his language, Nahuatl, take some of the roses, put it in your bag, tilma, and bring these roses to your bishop, in the bishop of the diocese. Diocese is like groups of churches around the neighborhood, and the bishop manages all those priests in that church. So in this particular diocese, that church, that the peasant, Juan Diego, he brought these roses to the bishop, and when he put them all down, on the tilma was the shape of Virgen de Guadalupe. So that was the miracle, the tilma Virgen de Guadalupe. And so since then, that miracle, that apparition, and the appearance of Tunat-Sin Virgen de Guadalupe was representing all the indigenous women of the Americas. And so there's also a Virgen de Guadalupe operation up north in Wisconsin, I believe, and same story, but it's an extension of the Aztec believers. And also they believe that the Aztecs came from Aztlan, Wisconsin, the Cahokia, Hopewell, whatever. Anyways, but Juan Diego, that's the reason why that's my roses. That's the reason why I give roses to people that deserve it. And those to people that have a different thinking, that, I'm macking on them, even if they're married, that's disrespectful. We lay Catholics, if we know a woman is married, we will never mess with the woman that's married, or engaged, unless, the Titanic Jack, but they were just fiancé. They weren't really full-fledged marriage. But once a woman is married, that has rings on her finger, or she's already have flowers in her heart, by her heart, that means she's taken. She's somebody else's girl. She has family. She has kids, right? But I don't understand these people in Oakdale, Caltrack, or places where they think I'm interested in them and have sex in them overnight. You know, I mean, if I'm offered, why not? But all I'm just saying is I don't do that. I mean, I do what I do is, oh, this person could be in my music video. Oh, this person could be in my independent film. That's my thinking. Because in order to find a cast for the era of my Mexican Civil War with Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa, I need a scene with a Pancho Villa, local Pancho Villa, that looks like Pancho Villa. I need a scene with Emiliano Zapata's, wife, peasant wife. And, what we will need people that, oh, this person knows how to make clothes. She's in wardrobe. I met a couple of girls in Main Street named Jill and but they make cloth, emery cloth. Check them out on Instagram. So, I'm trying to build a crew because for the time I was here since 2014, I have not really seen a full-fledged crew from wardrobe to hair and makeup. So recently I've been meeting people with hair and makeup, tangled tees or hair and makeup. So I with connections with at least two gals here, Jessica and Teresa. If you can do hair and makeup, I'll put a roster. And then I'm looking at actors and actresses, people that can read their lines in the karaoke, So I told the karaoke KJs like Clovis King, Sevi Bocello and his wife Marcella. I told them this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to find people, that I can build a cast and a crew, but it's not easy. And so they, of course, there are a lot of single moms out there that, they do bartending and stuff. And my intent is not to steal your wife. I know how it feels, but some women, they like to be stolen or used temporarily. That's, Stanislaus County. We're all adults. But me, I respect my faith. I respect, I have to, like confess my sins if I do that. And sometimes I use the bartenders to confess my sins to. I trust the bartenders that I befriended. I tell them, all my problems with my elderly mom. Managing our elders. But bartenders or places that I go, I observe and situation. And recently, the Ralston Goat, I didn't know that it was being taken over. I didn't know who the new owners were. But I was trying to figure out what happened to those bartenders and their cooks. So Ralston Goat has a new owner, and I really don't know who owns Ralston Goat. But the new place to go in Modesto is Rancho Fresco. So the activities that used to be in Ralston Goat are now happening at Rancho Fresco. So it's just like block neighbors where Ralston Goat Brendan Theater is. It's the next block, right on the same 10th Street, right there. It's actually both J Street and 10th Street, Rancho Fresco. Right in the middle is a little Subway store. But yeah, in Oakdale, I try to save my money, gas money, because, from Modesto, Oakdale, Cabo Town, Cabo Museum. I did full research back in 2017, that whole city, 2015, 2014, 15, 16. That was the time when, even back 2007, when my dad was sick, he had Alzheimer's. I had to be here in 2007, and I worked a little bit at the Rite Aid in Oakdale in 2007. And during that time, Hershey was leaving Oakdale, the Hershey factory, the chocolate factory at Hershey. They were, and of course, like any corporation that terminates its existence, they they compensate their employees, but they're out of the job. Same thing with Ross and Goat. You know, it's been taken over. The previous owner, Mike, he I hope he's still my Facebook friend. I hope he's watching the show. But all I can say is that the employees of Ross and Goat, I don't know where they went. It would be nice if I knew where they were, because I was trying to cast an all exclusive cast with a red person, a white person, and a black person, and the employees of Ross and Goat had that. It was very good, pioneering to me. This little gal, a couple of little gals that are black Asian and Filipina Asian, red, yellow, brown person. I wanted, hopefully I have connection with the white person, actress. She was in an independent film made by Angela and Paul Ragsdale's production films. And they just, again, screened a show called Murder Size at the State Theater. And they're doing their distribution, trying to get the return on investment, some reviews, the release reviews. And so, but his previous films will be re-aired, Slasherette Party and Street of Vengeance. So in Street of Vengeance, I met one actress. She's friends with Dan Zampa. And then this actress in Ross and Goat, I was a key bartender manager. She has a partner, but she told me that she would help me out. And so I followed up on her, and I know where she's not at now. And we maintain our communication on Instagram. Otherwise, we're trying to problem solve my problem in doing SAG Indie, independent film, independent feature, independent dance shows, TV shows, unscripted or scripted, but for profit. But without a team, especially a good casting director, experienced one, I'm relying on the KJs, KJ Atori, Angie McCarthy, and Lacey. Whether be the KJs there, I knew them from Clovis King, and I told Clovis again, because like I said, I'm trying to do the Karaoke Family documentary, as well as independent projects. And I told Sevi and Marcella, the Karaoke, they're having events going on at Donkey's tonight, Donkey's Restaurant on Carpenter and 8th Street, Kansas. But talking about, the rescreening of Slasherette Party and Street of Vengeance, it's happening. It's going to happen in October. You can find that in thestatetheater.com. And then I've also did some interaction with the Central Valley Film Project. It was funded by Stanislaus Arts Council, and I kind of like went to their first meeting July 28th at the Dutch Brothers. If you buy a drink, they'll donate $1 to the State Theater. And so I've been evaluating the Central Valley Film Project. I've seen most of the samples that I've joined their Slack interactive, because most of the people, they either work full-time at another job, or they're doing independent music videos or just selfie of themselves, or they were made into student films. Or so I wanted to advance it a little bit and made some suggestions, because I'm a profit-based type content producer, and also I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor. uh, since January 2003 I joined the union, so I have to make SAG-AFTRA uh, meet their SAG-AFTRA rules, whether it be background or whatever dancers. I will try to conform to the union independent contracts. I am not AMTP major studios like Disney or Marvel, or the you know the major actors are striking because these studios, they want to scan your face, and they want perpetual ownership of your face. And using AI, they can just grab the data on your Facebook or Instagram, and then they just grab your face and manipulate it. Because face recognition, they can. Oh, we're looking for a guy with a mustache. He looks Chicano, Mexican, Filipino. Oh, we're looking for a role for a biopic for Manuel Padilla Jr., a Chicano, born in. And so they would just use AI database, and we'll find probably me or guys that look like me that have been AI, if they've done background or already been movies, that they can just take those old films and just make them live in the digital virtual world. That's what AI is capable of, and this has been happening back in 2000. Like I said, I retired from Sprint Research Lab. Now it is now T-Mobile, but I had a privilege to work for an advanced research technology, and we look at things like this, and we go to the body standards, what the standards body have from the academia, academia of universities. They look at what's 10 years from now, 10, 20, 30 years from now. That's how powerful corporations are in investing the future of their networks. Otherwise, they get merged out. Like Sprint has been merged out already by T-Mobile. And, T-Mobile is acquiring Mint Mobile, acquiring many things. So it's merger city. And unfortunately, one U.S. citizen cannot complain and argue with a corporation. So many USA citizens, are get laid off. They go back to the unemployment line, or take early retirement, or some kind of leave the company compensation. That's the way corporate America business work, and that's what's problem. This is the problem since late 80s or mid 80s, when outsourcing began to be the quote a good thing for corporate America or for the United States job creations, but it became a bad thing because greedy businessmen here in the United States in the late 70s, early 80s, they started outsourcing to Japan. Well, actually, World War II. After World War II, yeah, this is what happened. They abandoned Philippines. They went to Japan. This was 1940s, 1950s. USA went to Japan, taught the Japanese how to make cars, and they Americanized Japan. And so that's where Japanese cars evolved after World War II. They abandoned the Philippines. Philippines was their ally, USA's ally during war. Fought the Japanese and everything. But after Oppenheimer, USA felt guilty what they've done. So they pumped up Japan and took, technologies like the car to Japan. And guess what? Now it was like Datsun. Datsun became Nissan, which is still Nissan, but you have Toyota. You have these Japanese car manufacturers, and so USA said, "Hey, it's cheaper labor in Japan." This was in the 50s and 60s. But then South Korea also caught on. After the Korean War in the 50s, Korea was real poor, but they had knowledge of the Japanese, what was happening in Japan. So Korea copied Japan and convinced outsourcing corporations in the US, hey, we do cheap labor, bring your factories in Korea. And of course, yeah, the US soldiers were right there at the 28-degree parallel line, borders between North and South Korea. And so that empowered South Korea. Now Koreans manufacture chips. They make cars. The Philippines, for some reason, it got neglected. No matter how it's the USA, there are very few USA. It's still the slaves of the world. They exported out labor, and that was their main product, the Philippines. And so you got overseas Filipino workers in other countries too. The fortunate ones are the ones that were overseas Filipino workers in the U.S. They can transition as U.S. citizens and marry interracially, with the Black Americans or white Americans. And a high percentage they do, interracial, intercultural. So Filipino Americans, you'll see like American actors like Vanessa Hudgens, Nicole Schwarzenegger. Their moms are Filipina, maybe from military relationships, and that's been going on since what, when USA took over the Philippines, 1900s, or actually even Mexico in the 1500s, 1600s, they love Filipino women, those mestizos and those white Spanish Latin men, they love Filipina Indígena. So in the Philippines, military soldiers, whether it was the Spanish military soldiers making babies in the Philippines, right? They don't bring them home to Spain or to Mexico. They just leave the babies there. They make the babies. And so they're the mestizos, the mezclados, the hybrids are a product. Right? So you see a lot of Mexican-looking Filipinos or Spanish-looking Filipinos. But after actually during the occupation or U.S. territory from 1899, 1900, USA took the Philippines, forced itself in the Philippines, raped, plundered, and basically made a lot of babies in the Philippines from 1900 to 1946, and even still today. But they never bring those babies. They never bring those babies, those white American soldiers or missionaries or government like MacArthur's, the U.S. U.S. West Point people or whatever. They marry Filipinos or they have Filipinos, baby kids, and so the U.S. soldiers had babies in the Philippines, and they're still making babies in the Philippines. They leave them there. They're called Amerasians, right? So, how many Amerasians do you think U.S. soldiers made from 1900, right, all the way to 1946? Many USA children were born in the Philippines. Even recent, right? Tim Tebow, was born in the Philippines, right? And so many white men and black men made babies in the Philippines, and they stayed there, or maybe they didn't want to let their wives know that they made babies in the Philippines. And they did the same thing after Vietnam War or during Vietnam. They made babies in Vietnam. And so there was American Vietnamese after the Vietnam conflict. U.S. soldiers, they need opposite sex. So the funny thing about after Vietnam War was "Me Love You Long Time" became a hit song. All I can say is the Philippines, but me, I'm a descendant of true galleons, Spanish galleons, Italian galleons, and Italian priests, and so I have that mix. But back here in USA, the story of what is a Mexican? A Mexican is there's three class of Mexicans. There's the elite Spanish conquistador, straight out from Spain, Mexican. All right, and then there's the mestizo, part native, part indigenous Mexican. And then, of course, the indigenous, the poor, the servants, the slaves. So there's only three classes. And guess who does all the work? The third class, right? The indios, the peasants, like Emiliano Zapata. And so it still goes on in Mexico today. You have these kind of people. And so the ones that didn't want to be slaves no more, they become rebels. They became a drug cartel, collaborating with the mestizos that can, if they're making drugs, or current problem today, fentanyl, these drug cartels will figure a way to distribute it in to the market. Stupid America, United States. It's our problem because our kids and our adults, they want to take drugs. It's we the people's problem. If we the people do not, from elementary to college, do not purchase any of that drug from the South, we would never have a problem. But the problem, USA citizens and kids, they are mentally illed out because they don't follow the law of the land, which is the mission statement of the preamble and 27 amendments, and of course the faith of the true church, the catechism, the non-disobedient guidance, and of course the Ten Commandments. Those are basic human rights, basic moral human character. Americans, we have so much freedom that we deviate and we disobey. And the atheist Americans, they were like, the Freemason thinking, is it reasonable? They have this mindset, is it reasonable? But faith has miracles. Faith has in this spirit world. The Catholic Church has a spirit world. Catholic Church knows about demons. It knows about hell. It knows, but these Freemason that helped set up the founding fathers and the way America is, that's why I needed 27 amendments so far, that the reasoning, they want this secular reasoning. So that's why, you have, but, it's in the First Amendment that every person's faith has every right to live and thrive in this government. Whether it be an occult, whether it be Satan, whether it be evil worshippers as long as they don't harm other groups, as long as they don't disobey the law of the land. And of course, if the faith is too strong and bullies another faith, like say the LDS overpowers a Baptist group, or vice versa, a Baptist group overpowers a Muslim group, or if a Muslim group overpowers, they will be anti this, they will be anti-monopoly. That's the USA Constitution. There's no monopoly allowed in the US government. So the anti-monopoly rules, same thing with these corporations, no monopoly is allowed. So if you know anybody that monopolizes things, if you have one group, like say the Catholic Church monopolizes on whatever, you have to report it. You have to complain as a U.S. citizen. If one faithful group monopolizes and saying our way is the right way and your way sucks, you have to respect these groups. The LGBTQ, no matter how much your faith, your religion doesn't like, the warnings of Sodom and Gomorrah, the books of Sodom and Gomorrah, the warnings of, destruction. There are stories in the scripture. So a lot of the Catholic faith or Christian faith, they know those stories, that the outcome of disobedience, outcome of, occults is not a good one. Because disobeying God, Yahweh, He's already demonstrated that. The power, His power. He's almighty. If you are with God, you cannot lose. So the men of reason, the founding fathers of the Constitution, they've thought out these things, but their reasoning as far as enslaving blacks or people of color or putting them down, that's bad reasoning. So you have to question these politicians and these people of authority, if they're really fair, if their working conditions are fair. Are they just obeying a law that is not fair, created by the Congress? If the Congress and the president approved it, but as the law, the judicial branch is enforcing it, but it's not really working out right, it needs to be change the law, amend it, repair it so that it doesn't injure the human being. And so the question of artificial intelligence and these corporate USA studios, they're cutting costs. They found technologies that would improve and help a backlog of stories to be told. But what I see in the studios is they're repeating stories over and over, like Batman, the Batman stories over and over. Superman, repeated so many times. Why not other character, like what they did with Iron Man? But then you don't want to repeat Iron Man over and over. You want something new, different. Aquaman, there was one, but then the second one is not happening until so-and-so, because there's a little drama in that situation. But all I can say is inclusive, like the story of Pancho Villa, story of Chicano Americans like Larry at Leon. They did a Cesar Chavez. If you watch that story of Cesar Chavez, little tiny Filipino flag is seen, but it doesn't show everything. And that's why the problem of Cinco de Mayo in America, the USA Cinco de Mayo, the Chicano Cinco de Mayo, that's why people, you need, in Modesto, you got to raise the flag, put Filipino flags with the American flag and the Huelga flag. You need 3 flags in Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo is designated date of when Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, the Chicano movement, won for better working conditions, better wages, break rooms, restrooms, out in the grape fields in agriculture, and the same thing in the Writers Guild of America. If AI phases out writers, it, it's possible. AI can phase out. AI can create a conjured up script without writers. So AI, I don't know. So I was making a suggestions that if because this technology, AI technology, is so intrusive that many USA citizens in their craft are going to become obsolete. There has to be a universal basic income for these people. But here in Modesto, I'm trying to solve that. I'm trying to interact with the local Central Valley Film Project, interact with the State Theater, because our stories, we are truly the Americans here in Modesto, California. American Graffiti, that story is real America. And we have to tell America is inclusive. Everyone in Modesto, California, we have red people, we have white people, we have black people, we have blue people, we have mixed people. All people here in Modesto exist. Hollywood, they're telling stories from out of the country. It's Hollywood is like universal world. Every country in the world is there in Hollywood. The same thing with New York Broadway. Every country in the world is there. But in Modesto, every American citizen is here. You name it, USA citizens. So my job is to tell the Chicano story, Filipino Mexicans, USA citizens of Filipino Mexican heritage here in USA. And that only began in the 60s, but we've been here way before USA was a government. We were here way before 1776. We were here before 1700s. We were here before 1500s. We're indigenous to Alta California, Philippine Mexico. We were called the Olmecs, the Olmecs, the Nawat. We were already here. Austronesian. There were black Californians. There were black South Americans. They were already Alta California. The Mexican Empire already brought people together, and then brought them to Europe. Brought them to the 13 colonies. But President Polk and those other people stole our lands. Same thing with Hawaii. The truth is, history is, needs to be told, because we want to question why. And because practice what you preach. The Bibles in Europe that were printed out by Martin Luther, they were all available to all Europeans. So they knew, especially in the New Testament, 1 John 4, verse 20, 21. How can you claim to love God if you can't even love your own blood brother? The same thing with the Ten Commandments. Love thy neighbor as yourself. Because if you can't love your neighbor as yourself, how can you love God with all your heart? How can you practice commandment number 1 if you can't even practice the commandment of love thy neighbor as yourself? So that's the purpose of this Friday Reds as in character as USA Emiliano Zapata. Maybe next month or next week, August 11th, is the release of American Graffiti, 1973. It's the 50-year birthday of American Graffiti, the movie. It was released, and the trailer, I just looked it up on the IMDb. and I share it to you, people that are, you know, I shared it that every people in Modesto nearby, outside of the downtown, we need to restore, uh, cruising, because the cruising is lifted, so we can go help out the businesses downtown. Have a little drink at the 1870 brewing beer company. You go to, it's 911 J Street. 911. On J Street is like a major cross of 10th Street, 11th Street, 12th Street. But yeah, J Street, 911 J Street. Go get a drink. I drink. I regularly drink there. Well, every time I go there, I drink the red ale, because it's a red-blooded me, and also the I just like the mix of the beer, the way uh, Mom and Bridget make it. Uh, Bridget's the owner, so I encourage tomorrow. I mean tonight. I mean next week, next Friday. Go downtown physically. Forget about online social media. Go downtown. You know, witness the restoration of cruising. You know, celebrate the American Graffiti birth, the movie. You could probably ask 1870 Brewery or Rancho Fresco to have one monitor play the American Graffiti movie, and you can watch it. So I try to inform State Theater that August 11th, 2023 is a very significant day for American graffiti culture, because it's when that movie was released nationwide, USA, the whole world woke up to this movie. The whole United States, they love, that's American liberty, our freedom of expression, to get on cars, show the hot rods and the lowriders and the you know unfortunately in the 90s, like when the Evil Tongue came out, they shut down our liberty, our rights. But August 11th, 2023, release of the movie, you can see the IMDb, the details, and the date, the birthday of American Graffiti. And of course, there was only one Chicano that was born in Pasadena, California, in that movie. Well, maybe, I'm not sure if Wolfman Jack is Chicano. I gotta research him, but he played Wolfman Jack, the DJ, as himself. What I hear was he would be like maybe in Mexico with a radio, or somewhere outskirts of around here. You gotta have a strong AM FM radio. I think he was on the AM channel. Gotta ask George Lucas about that Wolfman Jack character, his true background. But he was airing great music, and the soundtrack of that movie. Oh, I always sing them in karaoke, like "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes," The Platters, "My Prayer." The Platters music. Chuck Berry, Fats Domino. So yeah, and they had scenes of dancing. So I wanted to. I'm while I'm taking care of my elderly mom, I'm pre-planning, pre-producing a dance show locally here in San Jose County to just work on the local musicians' music. And so I've been interacting with the mamas, and of course the local songwriters like Jeff Moore, 1984, and Nerdy, and Dan Valley Rand, You know, I'm always asking them, hey, do you have a danceable song, original? I need that. I need 20 of you guys. I can't just have, oh, Dan Valiant or Nerdy or Jeff Moore, 1984. But so I'm trying to hopefully have a meeting with the State Theater board members and propose a plan. Because I'm currently interacting with the Central Valley Film Project, and of course, I'm gonna hopefully watch the State Theater fifth screening of locally made film here called Central Valley. Check out the State Theater website and see their local films made. And then they have a lot of reruns of old films that were made. You know, they have a schedule of their playlist. But I noticed that August 11th their playlist was not. It did not have American Graffiti in it. So I kind of like made a suggestion, constructive suggestion. If not this year, maybe next year, to make sure that the distribution and the what you call syndication of American Graffiti would arrive at Stanislaus State, so that people can go in person and watch it at the state. I believe it's scheduled later this month, but it would have been great if it was scheduled this month, and every next month Friday, that local people can go there. Even tourists from other places outside, like San Francisco, could come down here for the weekend and experience the true American Graffiti restored, thanks to the Impala car clubs. Our buddy Robert Gloria, bass player, saw met a musician. He had karaoke at the Chief Blue Horse and band. At the time, I was hanging out with this bar called Blue Horse, but apparently somebody there, think I'm backing them on them or something. I don't know. I'm just making sure that Chief Blue Horse, is known, because he's Lakota. He's an indigenous story about Chief Blue Horse. And if the Blue Horse bar right there on Mitchell by 99 and by the new Walmart, it will be one of my bars that I hang out. But of course, they gave me an 86 or something. And I go to church here, and I'm just trying to be a good person. I helped you set up your TVs and all that, and then you treat me like that. I don't know. Sometimes some of these business owners, they don't understand when a good person like me is just trying to put together a job creation type model, because I understand the Hollywood operating system, and I call it Hollywood operating system 1.0. So while I'm here in Modesto, California, taking care of my elderly mom, I've been trying to implement this Hollywood operating system 2.1, 2.0, better than what's in LA, a new way of doing things here. And so, but it's not easy, because I need the venues. I need the venues, the bar owners. If you want to shoot a scene, you want to interact with those bar owners, and so and negotiate. If you embed their restaurant in your scene, it promotes them, and it puts them in the independent film. That's an embedded advertising built in there. But I guess they didn't know who I was, or didn't know what I'm capable of. But that's fine. I'm just trying to self-employ myself, because union jobs are not here. There's no union jobs, no union productions in Modesto, Stanislaus County yet. There were before, a long time ago. The TV show Little House in the Prairie was some of the TV pilot was shot in Knights Ferry. 70s actor, Big Valley, the story of the Barclays, with actors like Barbara Stanwyck, you know, actors like Farrah Fawcett would come out here. So this is, you know, Stanislaus County, Modesto, and Stockton. These were Hollywood, extension of Hollywood. But apparently the producers of Hollywood, you know, the hub is there. You find it's easier to put together a cast and a crew if you had budget and if you could pay your, and even if it's an independent, you know, you can get it done because there are people, hundreds of thousands of actors that want to work, thousands of writers. If you can see the writer strikes and the SAG-AFTRA strike, you can see those picket lines. There's a bunch of people working in the industry. And what I noticed though is there are very few red person writers. You know, red person, I'm talking about yellow brown type people. There are actors there like Danny Trejo and you know, all I can say is that storytelling in the Modesto is important because we have to tell about Chief Stanislaus or Chief Kukunach, the Yokuts Indians, the first Vaqueros in Oakdale, the first cowboys or the Vaqueros in Oakdale. And then, of course, Oakdale became the cowboy capital of the world, USA and the world. So the rodeos are held in Oakdale and then further out to Sonora. But all I can say is help us out. Help me out. If you have any ideas in listening to this talk, I appreciate it. I am, you know, promoting Chicano actors in Modesto, but not necessarily casted all Chicano. I want the way how I interact with open mic people. You know, you have all inclusive guitar players. You have all inclusive karaoke singers. You have all inclusive, you know, restaurants. That's how it's supposed to be because that's how America was in the 70s. It was so beautiful until disobedient people started pursuing greed, profit greed, and you know that kind of too much. I think party too much after disco. You know, after disco, you know, the dancing got way out of line. You know, it's all those rockers like Queen. You know, they have multiple sex, you know, premarital sex with everybody. You know, but it's LGBTQT, but uncontrolled, what do you call it? Now in the late 80s, you know, the HIV virus was the root cause of AIDS and people were dying, and eventually it's been managed. And by the 90s, Magic Johnson, you know, Magic Johnson still lives because they put a lot of money in investment to make sure there is vaccines. Currently, there is what you call the monkeypox. People don't know they have it because it's not as dangerous. But if you have it, there's some painful, you know, maybe they call it shingles or whatever. But if you feel a little different and you have something going on, you know, just take the monkeypox virus vaccine. Same thing with like fevers coming up. I just got a message from CVS or Walgreens that, you know, you can get flu vaccines already. September, I believe. You can schedule flu vaccines already. You know, you have to be alert because a lot of contagious. And then, of course, the West Nile virus from mosquitoes and all right, so I'm gonna start closing the circle, closing the entrance. So in order for me to log out of the Garden of Eden, you know, move forward, the secret garden, because here while I'm in this virtual call it the Friday Red Show. I virtually am in this truthful, sin-free, virtual Garden of Eden. That if you carry any sins, if you lie, whatever, you'll get kicked out. If you have any kind of disobedience, the way Adam and Eve were, they got kicked out because they couldn't, they disobeyed. Disobedience is the main thing, your relationship with God or anybody, anyone. If you disobeyed your relationship with a person or God, there'd be issues, right? You won't probably trust that person no more. Imagine if you're a couple, even married or not, and then one went off to have a fling and then wants to come back. The other person will have issues with that, because you've disobeyed your relationship with that person, right? It's trust, but apparently a lot of people that don't have the character of like a Christian marriage or a Catholic marriage, it's loyalty between each one. Because in the spirit world of Catholics or Christians, 1 + 1 is 1, right? A male plus a female equals one spirit. That's spiritual math, especially for a relationship. One woman, one man, and one into one spirit. But even if it's accepted, a woman person and a woman person could also become one because they're spirit. They have that one. Okay? Same thing with man to man. So in a way, LGBTQT is a better form of relationship. The only problem with men and women is that when it comes to procreation, they will not have a transfer of their spiritual blood DNA to their future children that they raise together. But with a woman spirit and a female spirit, a man spirit and a female spirit into one, their product would be, and that's always what you call the way of the peacemaker, Prince of Peace. A lot of the books probably didn't talk much about Mary Magdalena and Jesus Christ in human form, but they must have had a relationship. I'm sure God, Yahusha, Jesus, had to experience intercourse or the human body so that he could better understand what men are going through and women are going through. But I always say, in our faith, women should, or anybody, should just follow the way of Mother Mary, Virgen de Guadalupe, her ways as a woman. And of course, the ways of Jesus and his way. Like I said, to die and rise again, you let your old soul die and let a new baby born, according to John 3. All right, so let me close the circle. It's 9:45. I promised my elderly mom that I'll make dinner by 10. So I have to say, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you very much. All right. So we do the philo. The first in is the last out, right? So we log in the garden. We enter in the secret Garden of Eden virtually, as if we were already dead afterlife, our spirit. And then we enter this garden. We do our past, present, future, because we're gonna explain what we were doing on Earth. We have to explain our past, our present, and our future, because maybe we still have unfinished business. So then, of course, we did the law of the land, singing the mission statement, preamble of the U.S. Constitution, constitutionus.com, and then we talked our talk. And then we finished and closed the circle. We said again the past, present, future, and we close with the Constitution preamble, which is the mission statement. The mission statement of the U.S. Constitution is the preamble. And so I said that with the Star-Spangled Banner 1.0. So I made it the Star-Spangled preamble. Now we're going to close the circle with the first in, which is going to be the last out, which is the Lord's Prayer, where the Lord is the Son of God, Yahusha, that was the Word and became man. Right? Now he is our brother. Yahusha Jesus is always going to be our brother as human beings, and how to act like him, how to conform to what he, walk the walk, how he walked. We walk the same way. And that's observed by a disciple named Matthew. So there's a New Testament book called Matthew, the book of Matthew. If you read the book of Matthew chapter 6, you will understand what the Lord's Prayer, what Jesus' prayer is about, how to pray to his Father, our Creator, our Holy Creator, our Father. And so I close with the Our Father, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy, holy is thy name. Yahuwah, Yahweh. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours now forever. Amen. Yeah, so next week, August 11th, next Friday, go out to downtown and celebrate the American graffiti and see if the cruisers are back with new cars, new lowriders, electric vehicles, whatever, the new liberty of showing off your car, and back to the way the movie American Graffiti was released in 1973, 50 years ago. I believe we will have USA restored post-COVID, and maybe I can move forward and move on, and I've done my job, but I'm still need to build this Modesto Hollywood operating system 2.0 so that the local high schoolers, instead of going to LA or New York or Tennessee, Nashville, they can remain here in this county and actually get the experience of independent filmmaking and be in an actual profitable movie, a profitable TV show, made in Modesto, California, made in Stanislaus County. Because when a high school kid goes out to those places and they don't have resources, they're going to get taken advantage of. So if your kids, the young adults leave your home and they go out there in their talent, it's going to be a wasted talent, even if they have masters in arts or performing arts or whatever. It's dog eat dog in Los Angeles and Broadway. There's no good program. But if we can build here for our kids that are grown up, gone out of, collaborate with all the high schools, the theater groups, the performing arts, and even people that are in the art department, those are all required crew. They're required below the line and even above the line. And we changed the business model of how the abusive AMTP, remove that AMTP, but figure a way to compensate the writers and the actors, performers, and the cast and crew. And if we solve that, the guidelines are already at the SAG Indie, Screen Actors Guild Independent, but we want to make it look local. Modesto SAG Independent, MSAG Indie, or something like that. But anyways, those are just concepts right now. I need to meet with the board members of 501c State Theater Group, and maybe meet with the Stan Council as I, help Central Valley Film Project, headed by Jacob. Next time we meet, Jacob, if you still watch this, please, put tables. Here are all the writers. This table. Here are all the art department. The illustrators, the concept artists, the storyboard artists, and then here are all the actors. That can look like the characters in the, that meet. So, and here are all the casting director with those actors that represent them. And then, of course, their, legal department, their agent. But you don't even need that. You just need a nonprofit organization that will help them so that it guarantees them a job, or guarantees them, if they were selected in that project, residuals after the product is finished and sold for life. Unlike the model where AMTP gets all the back end benefits that totally no good, and that's what's happening in Hollywood and New York Broadway, the film industry. There's it's not good because corporate profit, just like the engineers in the Silicon Valley, they make a move to Washington or wherever the corporate America, and so they have to wind up leaving California. They have to go to Texas, like people in Tesla that work, now they'll go to Texas. So now they leave their family here in California, and they wind up leaving California if that corporation creates a situation. And corporate America is very, very rude to the USA citizen. One U.S. citizen cannot complain to one corporation. They're very rude. I've been employed. They pay good, but they won't let you, have the freedom, liberty. That's the important thing that I am capturing is my freedom. And if I could create a product that is fair wages and fair treatment, I've done my job. So please support August 11th, American Graffiti Friday. Go to downtown, go to Rancho Fresco, go to the bars, the food places in the downtown area, and observe the cruisers. See if it's really like the way it was in the movie. And if you get the chance, go to watch, look for and rent a streaming of the movie and just watch it. There's probably some free what do you call it? You go to YouTube, maybe you can see the whole thing in a different format. Anyway, so all I can say is American Graffiti, go study it, go to IMDb, learn about it, the storyline. It's, to me, I'm making my own story of guitar players here in Modesto, like Pumping Iron, bodybuilder of Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's all it takes is a story about what you do day to day with other guys. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's Pumping Iron, he was unknown until, that world of bodybuilders, body shaping, that's what made Arnold popular. Another one is we have to make our own. We can't rely on telling the American story from Hollywood. And some of those Hollywood movies are really not made in Hollywood. They're made in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United Kingdom studios. And then they have their own Cannes Film Festival. All those things should be here in Modesto. I think Tyler Perry, that's how he did it with Atlanta. But we have to create our jobs for our people that are like us, in the storytelling, the performing arts, all the different directors, and even the sales and marketing, distribution. All right, so 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. I will upload this on YouTube, hopefully this weekend if I can, but you can play it, share, and rewind it. All right, thank you very much. Aloha, mahalo, and God bless you. Again, I am in character as USA Emiliano Zapata. So if you see me in public, why does he have a mustache? And his hair was down before. My hair is, and I'm wearing a cowboy hat. A little cap. I'm not wearing the charro Mexican hat, but I'm wearing this hat. Because I'm working on releasing my country music persona. Country music, okay? Check out my song, Lucky Woman. It's my first release of country outlaw music. I tried to do it last year, but it didn't do it right. So I did the formal digital distribution right now, and then we'll do the music video and all that. So we'll see you, and hopefully you help me out. I need everybody's help. All right. Thank you very much. And copyrighted 2023 E.CLI, all rights reserved. It's August 4th. and hopefully I'm already a billionaire or millionaire because I bought a few Mega Million tickets. Aloha mahalo and 谢谢。